Hi, welcome to our coaching chat that we do hey Lisa, glad you joined us, every Monday, and I'm always excited. And the reason I'm excited about doing these calls is because I learn something every time I start digging deep of what I want to share on our call. I learn something. So thank you guys for pushing me forward, and I hope you guys are moving forward as well. We are in the middle of Brian Tracy's recipe for selling. And so I've got his 7 steps, and we're working our way through these steps. First, we talked about let me say one thing. If you've got some background noise, go ahead and mute it, please. That'd be awesome. I can hear someone shuffling around, so whoever that is, we won't call you out, just hit mute. But when we get ready to chat, then you can unmute yourself because I want to hear from everybody. Okay, so we first talked about finding qualified people, and we went through that one pager that really helped us identify new people. And then our next step, developing relationships, were last Monday, where we talked about what does that look like? What is that process that we need to go through to really develop those relationships of trust? Because when people buy, they buy because of you that first round. By about the 3rd round of Juice Plus, they're buying because they have fallen in love with the product. So it's kind of on us to develop that relationship, educate that person to get them to trust us. But part of this process, so finding qualified people, developing a relationship, then today we're going to talk about discovering their need. Because if they don't know what their need is, they're probably not going to buy. And so first we got to really tap into that. So this is what we're going to talk about today is how do you go about discovering their needs? You know as well as I do, when you go shopping, typically, now granted, sometimes we go and things just jump out at us, but there's a need, and that's why we buy. It doesn't matter if it's Juice Plus, it doesn't matter, kind of what the product is, there has to be a need. And so the better we get at discovering people's needs, the quicker we're going to build both a customer base and a distributor base. So let's talk through these points about how do you go about discovering their needs. Number 1, we got to let them do the majority of the talking, because we're not going to figure out what their needs are if we're not going to hear from them. So what I've realized, whether it is when we're doing an event and people are at my house or wherever we are, if I can get them talking, I can probably most likely turn them into a customer. But I got to get them talking and finding out what their needs are. The second thing that we really got to kind of focus in on is asking questions so that we really understand their need. Because sometimes they may mention, if as we're talking, they may mention 4 or 5 things that you think, ooh, that's why, there's a talking point. But it may not be the very thing that makes them make a decision. So we got to talk long enough that we really understand what their need is. Even though they may talk about 5 or 6 things, it's really finding out what it is. And that's through that process of asking questions and understanding, repeating back to them, hey, if I'm hearing you right, here's what's going on. So that you really asking those clarifying questions. Spend the majority of our time really listening. Sometimes we listen. I was listening to a podcast a while back, and it was talking about a lot of times we listen, and as we're listening, all we're doing is trying to figure out what we want to say next. Or we're trying to figure out how to maybe prove somebody wrong. But we're not truly listening to really listen and understand, back up to that second point, really understand them. So are we really listening all the way through? to really be able to repeat back and empathize with whatever's going on. The next point there is ask questions to hear about their problems. So when you're thinking about, I always talk about he who asks the question guides the conversation. So if my goal is to find out what their problems is, to eventually find out their need, what questions, I want you guys, as you're thinking about this, I want you to write, I'm going to ask you as soon as I walk through this, then we're going to kind of workshop this. So as I'm asking these questions and you've got ideas, tips, examples, I want you to share them with me. So ask questions to hear their problems. So what kind of questions would you ask? So think about that, and we're going to run through some. And then ask questions on how they've tried to solve the problem. My story, as I tell my story, I tried to solve the problem of needing more whole food nutrition by taking a vitamin supplement. And then we had a bad experience with that. So asking those questions to hear how they've already tried to solve them, that problem, will be interesting, and I think it'll open up even more conversation and the opportunity to bring Juice Plus in. So if someone's telling me, well, we started taking this supplement or that supplement, then I would say, man, I understand. That's exactly what I did. And here's the problem I ran into with going the isolated vitamin route. Have you experienced that? So I kind of identify with their problem and trying to solve it, and it didn't work. See, what you're doing is trying to set them up to the point that it makes total sense that Juice Plus is the solution. But we got to talk about their needs, their problems, how they've tried to solve them, and really listen so that then we know how to present the solution. That next thing is ask questions that help you anticipate objections. If you feel like, they're going to say it's too expensive, or I'm already eating healthy, or think about and anticipate objections so that instantly, as they bring them up, you can get into a great conversation and redirect their thinking because you've already ahead of time anticipated the objections. And then lastly, ask follow-up questions for clarity. So if I'm hearing you right, you guys tried this, or you all tried that, or here's the challenge you're having with your kids or your husband. So when you ask those follow-up questions, you clarify, and a lot of times you hear something different than what you originally heard. All right, so that's kind of the flow chart or the process when trying to really discover someone's needs. All right, so I'm going to stop this sharing, and we're going to talk about this a bit. So I want to hear from you guys about, we're going to kind of one by one go through and get some talking points. So let me hear what's working for you guys and some verbiage that you guys have used when I start this process. So I'm going to ask you these questions again. All right, am I going to get some help from y'all? All right, let them do the majority of the talking. How do you get them talking? Okay, everybody's just staring at me. Great, Lisa. How do you get people talking?
Ask them about themselves. And one of the questions that I've been asking lately is, oh, what are you doing for fun? And they
I like it.
Bring up either some issues, or it will talk about what they've been doing for fun. And people always want to talk about their family and some of their activities, especially in the summertime.
Okay, I like that question. What are you doing for fun this summer? I love it. Because you know what? Back to what I said, what I've seen when I've done events, especially when you get people talking, do y'all not agree with me? When you get people talking, what happens is they come on board with you and they identify with you and they trust you, is getting those people talking. I love that question. Anybody else have a question they ask to get people talking?
Well, I heard a trainer.
1 second. Okay, go ahead. Alice.
I'll just like comment on something that like they're wearing or I see about them that kind of just starts the ball rolling. Like, oh, I love your skirt, you know?
Okay.
Especially if it's somebody that I don't know at all, like somebody in the grocery store or like, oh my gosh, I love your cart. It's so full of colors. How do you do that?
Nice. That's a good one. Allison, you started to say something too.
Yeah, when it comes to if you're wanting to talk to someone about the product, I heard a great training, and it was saying to ask 3 questions before you ever mention Juice Plus. And so let's just say that there's someone on Facebook and they're like, oh my gosh, my child has missed another week of school because of X. Well, you can start a private message, and the first question would be, oh my gosh, I saw your message, like, how long has he been dealing with this? So whether it's in person or on social media, the first question is, how long have they been dealing with it, or how long have you been dealing with it? And then, of course, they'll answer, and then the next question would be, what are you doing for it? Like, in other words, have they started a medication? You know, what are they doing? And then the third question is, and how has that worked for you?
Love it. And the third one is, how has that worked?
Because by the time they tell you how long they've been dealing with it, what they've tried, and the fact that it's not working, you've already set them up to realize they need to check out another option.
Well, and those 3 questions really tie in to the questions I just illustrated, like ask questions on how they've tried to solve their problem. So you and I didn't hear the same training or read the same training, but yet we're coming back to the exact same things. So that's excellent. That's just reinforcing, what we're talking about works. Thank you, Allison. Anybody else? Yes, Precious.
Recently, I've been saying, how are you feeling instead of how are you doing? Because when you say, how are you doing, people tend to, real quick and fast and say, fine. But when I say, how are you feeling, it makes them think. And then when they, start explaining whatever the feeling is, then I find a way to, tell them how awesome I'm feeling and the reason why.
I love it. I love it. Great, great points. Okay. Ask questions to help you understand them. So maybe someone give me some ideas of some questions on how to understand someone better.
I think always just saying, tell me more about that. I mean, because people love to talk.
Yes, they do. Tell me more. Anybody else? I hope you guys are writing this down. I will send it out to everyone, because I think the more we develop a library of verbiage, the better we're going to get, and so we're just going to become more. I love Eric Worre talking about becoming professional network marketers, and building our verbiage is key. Karen, what were you going to say?
Well, it isn't so much a question. It's more of a kind of like Erin was saying in the grocery. When you see somebody that has a basket full of healthy stuff, I always comment, it's like, oh, I love, you're a like-minded, health-conscious person like me. Ooh. I used to be sickly, but these fruits and vegetables that I've added to my life have made all the difference in the world.
Ooh. So, okay, I loved what Karen just said there, because it wasn't a question. And you don't have to always ask a question, but you can make a thought-provoking statement, which she made a thought-provoking statement, which almost forces someone to comment further. So if you're like, okay, I don't know this person at all, so asking a question may be a little out of place, making a thought-provoking question or a statement is really huge. It almost gets you the same effect, just without being quite so in your face, if a question may feel a little weird. Okay.
Another thing that I do, I've done several times recently at the grocery store, especially in the produce. If someone like I was buying organic golden beets the other day, and this woman came up and she goes, "Beets, really?" I said, "Oh my gosh, they're so good. Have you ever had them roasted?" Or just say to them, if they're looking at something, "How do you fix that? I've never done that. What do you do with that?" you know.
Wow. All right. All right, great. Okay, and we'll go on to the next one. Spend the majority of the time listening. And I don't know that I'm open for anybody's comment on that, but I'm going to really try to find that podcast. It was short, but man, it was powerful and I'm so guilty of this, thinking when someone's telling you something, thinking about what I'm going to say next. And then I look at them and think, I don't even remember what your name was. You know what I mean? You know, it's embarrassing that they've just told me their name, and because I'm thinking, what am I going to say next? I don't even remember what their name is. So don't do as I do. Do what I say. Let's really, really sharpen our listening skills. Anybody having comments on that? But I'm going to look for that podcast.
Lisa's got her hand up.
Okay, Lisa.
The other thing to get people talking more is just being, and it's so hard, comfortable with silence. And I don't mean like long gaps of silence. I tend to, the minute somebody stops talking, I feel the need to, okay, it's my turn, I'm going to start talking. And they may not have been done yet. And so the more I pace myself and I'm comfortable in that silent space for just a couple of seconds, I find that people continue talking.
Ooh, good point.
Brilliant.
And sometimes even maybe they were finished, but if we don't jump right in, they may open up more. Very good comment, Lisa. Anything else on this point? Spend the
I
majority of
think
the
just
time
too
listening.
repeating back what they're saying. Wow, this is
Yes, so that they kind of expand further. So repeat back what you heard. That. Okay. Now, the next point is ask questions to hear about their problems. Anybody have any comments on that? How you go about asking to hear about their problems. Back up to what Allison was saying is, how long have you been dealing with that? There's a question that fits in there, because what you're going to do is get into that conversation, and then how's that been working for you? Anything else under this, ask questions to hear about their problems. Back to, was it Lisa that said, no, it was Erin who said they kind of changed their question saying, how are you feeling versus how are you doing? Was that you or is that Lisa?
It's Precious.
Oh, Precious. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of falls into the talk about their problem.
I'll ask, like, what kind of health challenges do
Okay,
people
wait 1 second. Someone's got some background noise. Okay, go ahead, Erin.
That was me earlier, so the clanking. I'll ask, like, what kind of, have you been dealing with any health challenges?
Okay. All right.
A lot of times at the gym, especially as we're leaving. I don't know what.
Someone's got some background noise. You may not know you've got it. Okay.
Okay, good. A lot of times I've gotten several team members or customers at the gym, and, just saying, wow, I'm so impressed with your commitment level. So how are you handling the nutrition part of Better Health?
All right. I like that. I'm trying to capture all these. Anybody else?
I have one.
Okay.
I've been trying to raise my hand, but I'm driving, so I'm trying to be safe. Lately, I've been getting, what I'm doing, you look great, and my response has been, I've been getting over 30 raw fruits and vegetables, and they say, wow.
Okay. So back to what I was saying to Karen is she's making a thought-provoking statement. So it's a lot of background noise with you of that, so I'm going to, if you want to say more, unmute. Okay, great. But we want to hear from you, so let us know. But I like that comment because she's made another thought-provoking statement, which I always love. My husband always gives me these little tips, and he talks about when someone walks away, if you can just put a little burr under their saddle, where every time they think about what you've said, it's kind of like, ooh, she's right. Ooh, I need to think about that. Ooh, a vet just said she's getting 30 raw fruits and vegetables. I'm not getting that. You know, it's that thought-provoking question that'll just keep rubbing on them, and that every time they think about you, they're going to think, ooh, I need to be getting 30 raw fruits and vegetables. Thank you, Yvette. I like that. I like that. Okay, ask questions on how they've tried to solve their problem. I think we kind of hit that. Those two questions are kind of similar. So I'm going to jump to ask questions that help you anticipate objections. Anybody have any verbiage that they've been using that? One of the things that I did when we did last, the Peachtree City team here, the group of us here in this area, we did an online event last Wednesday night. And one of the things I love was that one, I ended it with a picture of all the different products and the prices. And what I said is, as I went through the presentation, I talked about there were 6 things that I love about Juice Plus, and the last thing was my favorite, and that was the cost. Because I'm going to eliminate the cost issue head on, in that I used to juice, and it is so much cheaper to buy Juice Plus, not to mention how much easier and the bigger the variety. So that is something very positive. So that would be a way of ending it, and I'll show you guys that picture. Karen.
Yeah, I was going to say on the lines of the people say to me, oh, well, that's expensive. And 2 comments. One, I love Dr. Mitra Ray's comment saying, compared to what? Compared to what? And that's the truth, because what I say when people say it's expensive, I said, you haven't been sick then, have you? Because I'm telling you, chemo is $7,000 a month.
Ooh, man, that is powerful. So chemotherapy was $7,000 a month for you. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, insurance covered some. I won't get into all that, but we paid a good portion of that a month.
You haven't been sick then. Oh, even if you're not one that has been sick, you haven't been sick then. I love that. That's a burr under your saddle. It's a nice way. You can say it in a nice way, but it's a burr under your saddle to think, wow.
Again, it's because I am truly passionate about this. I mean, it saved my life, and this isn't a joke. This isn't a fun, this isn't a cute little business for me. This is sharing health with people, and I get up in their grills. I let them know that that this is important to me, and it should be important to them.
Well, your why is it's huge, huge. Okay, love it. Any more questions in regard, besides price, what's another objection someone may have? Yeah, Lisa.
I'm already eating healthy.
I agree. That's a challenging one. How do you respond to that?
I'm terrible, so I need your help.
Okay.
I'm terrible, not at my health.
I responded. That's a challenging one. And here's what I've been saying. I'm open to, would love to hear anyone else's. The one study, which I need to get more specific details. It's the one that was done in Austria on the SWAT team, where they took people. So this is what I talk about, this research that was done on Juice Plus. They took people with homocysteine levels of 8, which is unbelievable, means they were extremely healthy. And they took this group of SWAT team, and they took them through the research, and in 80 days on Juice Plus, their homocysteine levels dropped to 7, which is almost unheard of. And what that tells me is, I don't care how many fruits and vegetables you eat a day. One is, nobody really gets 9 to 13. I'm sorry, they don't. But to know that this is probably the most healthy group out there, and they're tracking their nutrition, their exercise, and yet their homocysteine levels within 80 days dropped from 8 to 7, which I think the average American is at 10. And what we know is, the lower your homocysteine level goes, the better your chances of not getting any disease across the board. So you just keep reducing your chances of getting a disease. And so to know that in 80 days, regardless how great of a diet someone has, it's going to get better by adding Juice Plus. And so that kind of gets people thinking, oh, okay, who doesn't want to continue to reduce your chances of getting disease, any disease across the board? Anybody other, any other?
Send us all that.
I'm sorry,
Send
what?
us all that. I said, send us all that. That was good.
Well, I don't think it's written anywhere, but I will send you the link to the research study.
Or that verbiage where you said that, whatever that last part was about the more you get, the less likely of disease, or whatever it was you said.
Okay, all right, I will send that verbiage. Anybody else have anything on that? Anticipating objections?
Precious.
Precious?
This was just in response to someone saying that they're already healthy. So what I'll tend to do is celebrate the fact that they believe that they are. I mean, I don't be negative about it, but usually they think they are and they're really not. So I'll stroke their ego, celebrate them, make them feel good that they're, making correct choices. But then I'll make a statement and say something to the fact of it's all about prevention. So what you do now will protect you for the future.
Very good. And that makes me think of something else I do say, and you jogged my memory, is I always laugh and say I must not be a very good salesperson because it took me 7 years to get my dad on Juice Plus. But what he would tell me is, I'm healthy as a horse, Elaine. He would send me prospective customers, but wouldn't take it himself because he was healthy as a horse. And I tell the story of my dad. What happened was when he had an injury, he went down like that and he had nothing to fight with until he started taking Juice Plus. We got it in his system, and that's when he recovered. And what I learned right there is that none of us know when there's going to be an accident, we're going to get something that'll take us down like that. And we better have been really beefing our system up with good nutrition to be able to fight what may be coming down the road. And that sometimes I've seen resonates with people as well. All right, last one, ask follow-up questions for clarity. Anybody got some good follow-up questions that they ask? Karen?
I just ask them if it makes sense. What I've talked to them about makes sense.
Does that make sense? Okay, I like it. Does it make sense? Because what you're doing is trying to get them to keep on talking. You want to eliminate any objections by this point that they're going to be like, I'm an idiot not to buy Juice Plus. You know what I mean? So does it make sense? What else?
Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Okay, how about if we add a little bit to that? Is there anything stopping you? Is there any questions that are unanswered that would stop you from getting started today? Anybody else? What else can we say?
Elaine, I've got to bag out, but I just wanted to, I don't know if anybody was on Voxer today, but Dr. Corson posted in recordings that, and I posted also on Voxer, that Wendy Campbell chat was phenomenal. It's probably one of the best I've heard. It's called Gift of Hope. It's the best I've heard because it gives it in layman's terms and not so scientific. I mean, she throws a little science in there too, but it's really good. I sent it to everyone this morning, my customers, everybody, and they all thanked me because, I mean, this was a good one. So just wanted you guys to know that that's a great tool out there for us.
Thank you, Karen.
Love you all. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And I love that too, that idea of every time you connect with a customer, follow it up with another next step education. All right, we're going to hear, she had to go meet her son. So anything else before we get to hear Erin's story? Any other thoughts or comments on today's training? You guys?
Really valuable.
It was. Thank you guys. Your input is priceless. And I'm going to try to capture all this, and so that we have it, send it back out to everybody. But great verbiage you guys are using. Anything in this process of discovering needs that we need to address, or do you feel like you guys are equipped to really get at the needs of somebody? Does everybody feel like they've got a good handle on it now? Any areas that we didn't talk about?
I just learned that when I don't speak about Juice Plus, I get more of a reaction. I'm doing a water challenge, and then this one lady that I've been, dripping on, she contacted me today, said she's ready to place her order on the 17th.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, it's just do the opposite, and then like you guys say, trickle in Juice Plus, and it just works because they go hand in hand.
Yes. Yeah. What it's saying is it's not our agenda, it's their agenda. And when we're working on their agenda versus us trying to make a sale, we're working to try to figure out their needs. People feel it. They know it. They know it's not about you selling something. It's about figuring out their needs and how can I help. All right, Erin, you're up, girl. We're excited to hear your story.
Yay! All right, here we go. Well, have you ever been sick and tired of being sick and tired? That was us 10 years ago. I didn't think I could swing the 60 plus hours of teaching and have babies at the same time. So during the last year of teaching, I trained as a massage therapist and also fell into doula work, which is helping couples with their childbirth. We had our 2 girls back